from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening and welcome to the National News broadcast, bringing you your top stories from home and across the world. I am Lakshita Tirasinghe.
And I'm Kalsani Balachandra. Here are your top stories for tonight.
New plans for a transformative change in the agricultural and technological sectors. Final rites of the Sri Lankan Anula Jayatilaka, who was killed in Israel, were held in Tel Aviv. The committee appointed to look into the State Minister Diana's incident convenes. The Attorney General requests the Court of Appeal to expedite hearing of the petitions filed by Harakkata and Kudu Salindu. A controversy between Israel and the UN Secretary General. Sri Lanka bags 4 more medals in Asian Para Games. On to those and other stories in detail. We start off with the top story for tonight. President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that new plans will be implemented for a transformative change in the agricultural and technological sectors.
The president said, therefore, the Sri Lankan engineers will have to play a significant role in this endeavour. President Ranil Wickremesinghe stated this at the 117th annual session of the Sri Lanka Engineering Institute held at the PMICH this morning. The president offered the Vishwalingam Award, which is offered once in a lifetime, to engineer KLS Sahabandhu for his unique contribution made for the country as an engineer. Chairman of the Sri Lanka Engineering Council, Tilanga Silva, presented a book printed in all 3 languages titled Handbook for Electricians to the president at this occasion. President of the Sri Lanka Engineering Institute, Dr. Kamal Laksiri, presented a souvenir to President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
On Monday, I merged the functions of plantation industries and agriculture together. This has not happened till after 1970. These 2 subjects had been separated. In all countries, agriculture is a single subject. Look at the big agricultural exporters, the modern ones, Thailand, Malaysia. It's one ministry, one subject. In 1970, Mrs. Bandanayaka separated the 2. She wanted the plantations to be run in the similar manner under state corporations, but she wanted otherwise to break up land holdings and go for what she called peasant agriculture. So that is how we started. When we came into power in 1977, we discussed this issue with President Jayawardena, but he said the plantations were run down. We had to get assistance from ADB and let the plantation ministry carry that out. Later on it could be merged, because on the other hand, agriculture ministry had to look at the development of Mahaveli. So that's one big project there. So first one is to bring these 2 ministries, bring the agriculture functions of other ministries under the Ministry of Agriculture. Secondly, I have asked my officers to get aid from outside on designing a new agricultural ministry. How does the agriculture ministry function in Thailand? How does it function in Malaysia? Without having the ministerial structure, we can't go ahead. Then, how do we modernize the agriculture? That's the next stage. In doing this, we have also found new land. I think Mahaveli still has about 200,000 acres to be opened up. Then if you are modernizing the plantations, there's about 300,000 acres there to 400,000 acres. Another group to help are the tea smallholders. So like that we will have about 700,000 to 1 million acres where we can start our modernization in agriculture. These are the plans we are working out. And then to take in the agriculture research institutes, a number of them in the country, combine them, bring them under one institution, the University for Agricultural Technology, and we'll upgrade all those institutions.
Israel demands United Nations Secretary General to resign as tensions flare over Mideast.
The Israeli ambassador to the United Nations made such demand over a speech made by Secretary General Antonio Guterres on the Security Council held today. The Israeli ambassador to the United Nations demanded that Secretary General Antonio Guterres resign for saying Hamas's attack on Israel didn't happen in a vacuum, capping a day of heated exchanges at the Security Council over violence that threatens to spark a regional war. Ambassador Gilad Erdan, who was responding to Guterres' speech at the opening of a Security Council meeting to discuss the Israel-Hamas war, in which the world's body's leader said no Palestinian grievances can justify the Hamas attacks, which killed about 1,400 people. Guterres' remarks provoked Israeli Foreign Minister Eli Cohen to cancel a meeting with him. Cohen gave a speech before the council in which he held up photographs of Israeli children held hostage, who he called innocent victims of evil. He also played an audio recording he said was a Hamas terrorist boasting of killing Israelis, and identified people who were guests in the council chamber as relatives of Israelis killed or taken hostage by Hamas. Erdan later took to social media to demand Guterres step down for what he called a shocking speech that proved conclusively beyond any doubt that the Secretary General is completely disconnected from the reality in our region. And to bring you a further update with regards to the Israeli-Hamas conflict, we're joined in the news studio by senior journalist and our foreign news analyst, Mr. Prasad Dudangudage. Mr. Dudangudage, now this recent remark by the Israeli ambassador against the United Nations Secretary General seems to spark new tensions between Israel and the United Nations. Now, what implications does that have on the ongoing conflict?
Yes, Lakshita, definitely. Now we can see Israel is on war path against United Nations as well. That situation in the diplomatic front is also a bit tense after this situation, after this war of word within the United Nations Security Council. We just saw what happened there. Then after this incident, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres issued a further clarification over this incident. In a second statement, he mentioned that he says that he is shocked by misinterpretations of his comments in the original speech. Then he said his words were not justifying acts of terror by Hamas, and he condemned the horrifying acts of terror by Hamas in Israel. At the same time, he said he also spoke the grievances of the Palestinian people, but that they could not justify the appalling attacks by Hamas. Now we could see that UN Secretary General is trying to be more diplomatic and trying to heal the wounds and trying to do some patchwork in this whole scenario. But Israel is in a very tough and very commanding position in this situation, because they have made some tough decisions. Apart from the fiery speech made by the Israel ambassador at the United Nations Security Council, then Israel has decided to cancel the visa to senior UN officials who were going to visit Gaza and Israel and the Middle East, that area covered by Israel authority. This situation will further deteriorate the situation of Palestinians, because now for the Palestinians only help and only shelter is the United Nations. But as we spoke yesterday, UN operations are also in jeopardy due to the tough blockade maintained by Israel. And today the main story about this humanitarian situation was the oil supply. Due to the lack of oil supply, now hospitals in Gaza, they are now in a very dire situation. They are in the patients and kids who are receiving treatment in these hospitals are in a very dangerous situation due to this blockade. However, Israel has another story on this oil scenario. They said, according to their estimates, there are over 500,000 liters of fuel in Gaza, and that fuel stocks are with Hamas, and they may have stored these fuel in underground storages made by them, and they are not issuing this fuel to the general public and the hospitals and other public facilities. That's the interpretation of Israel. So, however, now we could see various clashes, various tug of war in this whole situation. However, day by day, the situation of Palestinians in Gaza, at the same time the hostages captured by Israeli hostages captured by Hamas, they are suffering. That's the bad part of this whole issue.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Durangudage, for that update. In other stories, Sri Lankan ambassador to Israel, Nimal Bandara, says that final rites of the Sri Lankan migrant worker Anula Jayatilaka, who was killed by an attack of Hamas, were conducted in Tel Aviv today.
This morning, we had opportunity to participate the funeral ceremony of late Miss Anula Jayatilaka, and the Buddhist monk who has been working as a chief priest in the Tel Aviv Buddhist temple participated for the religious observances, and on behalf of the Catholic community, two sisters and one Catholic priest also joined with us to share their sadness. On behalf of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Government of Israel, former Ambassador to Sri Lanka participated for the event, and he made a speech regarding her contribution during last 10 years. Also, they have allowed us to use the national flag of Israel. Also, we used the Sri Lankan national flag during her ceremony and until end of funeral in Sri Lanka.
In more local news, the committee appointed to look into the alleged incident that occurred in Parliament convened in the Parliament complex today. It was headed by its chairman, Deputy Speaker Ajit Rajapakse. This committee was appointed by the Speaker to look into the incident that occurred between State Minister Diana Gamage and several other parliamentarians in the Parliament complex on the 20th of this month. The committee has monitored the relevant CCTV footages today. The relevant parties and witnesses will be summoned to the next committee meeting, which will be held at 10 a.m. on the 6th of next month. The committee today decided to add 2 female parliamentarians to the committee representing the ruling and opposition parties.
State Minister Shehan Singh says that the confidence which is created through the approval of the IMF second tranche will have a positive influence for Sri Lanka's debt restructuring process. He made this comment at a ceremony held at the UN headquarters in Colombo to mark the United Nations Day.
The United Nations has been a valued partner to Sri Lanka for decades, providing technical and financial support for our development initiatives. We deeply value this partnership and appreciate the continued efforts of the United Nations and its member countries. As evident by the jointly developed United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, the government of Sri Lanka is committed to continue working closely with the UN and other partners to advance the Sustainable Development Goals. We work closely with UN system to achieve the outcomes outlined in the UN Cooperation Framework, co-signed by the Secretary to the Treasury on behalf of the Government of Sri Lanka and the Resident Coordinator on behalf of the United Nations. This event is a great occasion for us to come together and celebrate the results of our concerted efforts. It is also a moment to recognize the many challenges ahead as we mark the halfway point on our journey towards the 2030 agenda. to achieve the sustainable development goals, we have a long work ahead of us. The government of Sri Lanka has taken bold steps to mitigate the harsh impact on our communities and safeguard our sustainable development priorities.
Colombo Fort Magistrate Tilina Gamage ordered the CID to conduct further investigations into the offensive plan of rescuing the organized drug smugglers Nadun Chintaka alias Harakkata and Salidu Malshika alias Kudu Salindu from the custody of the Criminal Investigation Department.
The magistrate issued this order following the CID reporting about such a plan to courts. The two suspects are now under the custody of CID under detention orders. It has been revealed that guerrilla-type attacks have been planned to rescue the suspects from the CID. Two soldiers of the Commando Regiment have been arrested in this connection, and they have revealed this information. According to the plan, well-trained armed gangs were scheduled to be deployed to conduct a chemical attack against the security officials and rescue the two suspects. The Colombo Fort Magistrate has ordered the CID yesterday to conduct further investigations into this plan and inform the courts regarding this. Further, the Attorney General made a request to the Appeals Court to expedite hearing of the petitions filed by the two suspects, requesting an order to be issued to secure their lives while in custody. The relevant petitions were summoned today before the President of the Appeal Court, Nishanka Bandrakanaratna, and Appeal Court Judge Chamat Morayas. Appearing for the Attorney General, Deputy Solicitor General Shanil Kularatna accused that although these petitions have been filed several months ago, the petitioners have not taken measures to confirm their appeal further. Thereby, the Appeal Court panel of judges ordered to resummon the petition on the 27th of January. Meanwhile, the Appeal Court ordered to consider the petition filed by alleged organized criminal Ganimullah Sanjeeva, who is under the custody of Viragula Police Station on the 24th of January. Mother of the suspect, Ella Nona Mendes, has filed this petition stating that there may be a threat to her son Ganimullah Sanjeeva's life in keeping him under the custody of respondents officials of Viragula Police Station. She had requested the Appeal Court to issue an injunction order against the respondent to prevent them from keeping her son under their custody.
Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena instructed the government officials to distribute appointment letters to the multi-purpose development assistants who have not yet received the appointment letters before the 15th of November. At a discussion held in the Prime Minister's office today, the officials were instructed to deploy the development assistants to the relevant institutions. This discussion was held with regard to expediting the appointments of the development assistants in the Multipurpose Development Task Force Department. They also focused attention on the measures taken by the official committee appointed by the Cabinet of Ministers to review the process of government recruitments. The relevant top officials have been instructed to recruit the multipurpose development assistants to the vacancies existing in the primary services of public sector. However, some of them have not yet been given the appointments in some ministries. 4,780 such development assistants are yet to receive appointment letters. The Prime Minister focused his attention to this matter. State Ministers Janaka Wakkumura Ashoka Priyanth, Prime Minister Secretary Anuradha Disanayaka, Ministerial Secretaries, heads of the departments and many government officials were present at this discussion. Vice Chairman of the Chinese Foundation for Rural Development, Liu Wenkui, met Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena at his office today. The Chinese envoy said that China can support Sri Lanka in enhancing self-sufficiency, export, empowering low-income families and several other sectors. He also stated that packets of dry rations will be distributed among primary level students in the rural schools in Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna Parliamentarian Namal Rajapakse says that public should be given relief from the next budget. He made this comment to media following a discussion held at the party headquarters at Nelumavata in Battarumulla today. Parliamentarian Namal Rajapakse said that Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna has no dispute with Sri Lanka Freedom Party. When the political parties govern the country collectively, policy decisions will be taken following the discussions with the heads of the government and political parties. Many Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna party leaders, including the General Secretary, are of the view that the party's views are not considered in taking some decisions by the government during the past period. We have no problems among us sister parties. We all are committed to implement programs to strengthen people's economy. The problems cannot be solved only by changing ministerial portfolios. We invited not only Ranil Wickremesinghe but also Sajith Premadasa, Sarath Fonseca and Anurakumara Dissanayaka to take the reins of the country. However, Ranil Wickremesinghe only responded for this invitation. Therefore, we place due respect for him. A budget is about to come. Therefore, the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna expects the President to grant relief and concessions to the general public. Our party has made a commitment to keep political stability in the country at present. We continue this commitment on behalf of the country. Therefore, the government should provide relief and benefits to people.
The National Supply Chain Day Seminar and CEO Forum was held in Colombo today. It was organized by the Institute of Supply and Materials Management. The event was held with the participation of Minister Dr. Ramesh Pathiran. It was held under the theme Reshaping the Future of Sri Lanka Through Sustainable Supply Chain Ecosystem. CEO of International Federation of Purchasing and Supply Management Marku Hentinen and President of the organization Chris Oanda were present on the occasion.
Particularly, 2022 was economically a difficult year for Sri Lankans, including all the entrepreneurs and also the industries of the country. But despite many challenges we faced, I'm quite proud to say most of the industries of the country, most of the people in the service sector contributed meaningfully and contributed significantly for the stability of the economy at that time. During that time, Sri Lankan entrepreneurs, the manufacturers, they produce little more than yesteryears to ensure that there is an import substitution. And so they produce little more to ensure that we gain more forex at a time that we did not have sufficient fuel and there were gas shortages, there were electricity cuts, and more importantly there were raw material shortages. So despite all the challenges, like the silver lining of the dark cloud, Sri Lankan entrepreneurs, industrialists and the people of the service sector saved the mother nation. So let me congratulate all of you having done wonderfully well.
The National Supply Chain Day, it's a day to honor the dedication and innovation that go into optimizing our supply chains and contributing significantly to our nation's growth. And National Supply Chain Day emphasizes the critical role of supply chain management in the success of our economy and organizations and the prosperity of our nation. Constituting nearly 80% of our nation's economic activities, and the improvement of supply chain practices directly impacts our nation's economic well-being and competitiveness on the global stage.
Pandemic era and the recovery period has shown how important it's to all organizations that capable professionals manage the procurement and supply chain processes. This won't come without companies investing on human resources, training and education, and technology.
ISMM has played a pivotal role in advancing the field of supply chain management, fostering professional development, and promoting best practices in procurement and materials management in Sri Lanka and beyond its borders. Let us continue to celebrate and let us continue to collaborate, learn from one another and strive for excellence in the pursuit of advancing supply chain management practice and learning. Together, we can build a future where supply chains are not only efficient and resilient, but also sustainable, socially responsible, and are at the heart of economic growth for Sri Lanka.
An awarding ceremony was held in Colombo yesterday to felicitate national-level suppliers. It was organized by the Supply and Materials Management Institute. A large number of local and foreign invitees were present at this ceremony. Persons who have shown significant skills and talents in the supply sector were honored with distinguished awards.
Presidential Chief of Staff Sagala Ratnayake says that the country, which was trapped in an economic crisis, has become a stabilized country at present. Participating in a ceremony organized by the Litrogas company, he said that the country has to think anew on the national economy to order to develop it. Presidential Chief of Staff Sagala Ratnayake said that consumers had to wait on the roadside with empty cylinders. Many people have forgotten that harsh reality at present. The situation today is convenient for the general public. The situation has developed owing to the proper plans implemented by us. Therefore, we all must protect this situation to have further benefits. Therefore, we all should get together to go forward for further victories. Distribution of prizes and awards for the winners of knowledge competition titled Heta Surakina Ape Lamai was also held at this occasion. Chairman of the Litrogas company Mudita Pires and many distinguished guests were present at this occasion.
Minister Manusha Nanakara says that it is regrettable that some elements proposes to prepare a foreign employment policy without any prior notice. The minister made these remarks at the launch of Sri Lankan National Policy and Action Plan on Migration for Employment Opportunities. Minister Manusha Nanakar said that when the country was economically fallen, our migrant workers are the people who supported the country. Therefore, the government is committed to provide maximum benefits for them by preparing a foreign employment policy for them. Owing to their support, Sri Lanka's foreign reserves have reached up to $4 billion. Out of the amount, $3.5 billion was sent to the country by the migrant workers within this year.
National Dengue Control Unit says that high-risk dengue zones and dengue cases can be further increased due to the prevailing rainy condition.
Director of the unit, consultant Dr. Nalin Aryaratna, stated that over 2,500 dengue patients have been reported this month only.
Dengue, වගකීම අපේ අරමුණයි. ජාතික රූපවාහිනිය සමග මෝටීන්. ඩෙන්ගු නැති හෙටක්.
Dengue cases have increased in the Colombo Municipal Council area, Gotatua, Nugegoda and Maharagama areas in the Colombo district. National Dengue Control Unit says that a considerable number of patients have been reported from the Gampaha and Kalutara districts as well. Director of the National Dengue Control Unit, consultant Dr. Nalin Aryaratna, said that about 2,500 cases have been reported in this month. Following the rainy weather, the number of dengue high-risk zones have also increased to a certain extent. The National Dengue Control Unit continuously informs the public regarding the risk of increasing dengue cases. If there are more dengue breeding places, the number of mosquito population increase, then the number of dengue cases will also increase. During the last month, the number of daily cases were at 70 to 80. In this month, the amount has exceeded 100 cases. Yesterday, 141 cases were reported throughout the island. This situation must be controlled.
And here's a few more local news items in brief. A special summit organized to mark the Global Marine Day 2023 was held in Colombo yesterday. It was organized by the Sri Lankan Shipping Agents Association. Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva and many others were present at this occasion. The Samurdhi National Convention Community Honours National Awarding Ceremony 2023 was held at the National Youth Services Council Auditorium in Maharagama today. It was held under the patronage of State Minister Anupa Pasquale under the title of Empowered Community with Prosperity. Teams of Samurdhi community projects were felicitated for their services at the ceremony. A special awareness program on strategies of sustainable development in the tourism sector was held in Galle.
The program was jointly organized by the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority and the Ruhunu Tourism Bureau. Over 1 million foreign tourists have visited the country so far this year. The amount may further increase in the coming months. Still, there is a traditionally created tourism system in Sri Lanka. At this program, discussions were held regarding the timely strategies and methods for development of Sri Lanka's tourism industry. Special concerns were made in considering the taste of tourists who visit the country and providing required facilities for them. Attention was also focused on using the modern technology for the enhancement of the tourism sector. Attention was also focused to minimize and eradicate the causes of environmental pollution. Single-use plastic items such as fork and spoons, food wrappers, straws and many items have been prohibited in the country at present. Substitutes for such items were also introduced in this program. This program was sponsored by the USAID. Stay tuned with us. Foreign news coming your way after this short break.
Hot and spicy fun vibe එක විවර කරන්න beat එක remake කරන්න to win හදවත වවලා යන්න ගින්දර passion කරන්න fun උතුරන්න කොත්තමි kick එක මෙන්න TikTok viral යනවා නැතිව trending වෙනවා hot පහසක් නැවසෙනවා spicy රස වැටහෙනවා prima කොත්තමි fun තමයි.
And in foreign news, we take a look at our neighboring India, where foreign media reports that the air quality in India's capital, Delhi, has fallen to poor levels and is expected to deteriorate further in the coming days, officials have said.
Environment Minister of India Gopal Rai says that special teams will be deployed at 8 other locations which have been recording high pollution levels. Delhi is one of the world's most polluted cities through the year, but its air turns especially toxic in winter due to various factors including burning of crop remains by farmers, low wind speeds and bursting of firecrackers during festivals. The polluted air causes severe health issues to Delhi residents every year. Higher pollution levels can clog lungs and cause a host of diseases, according to government data.
Victorious day for Sri Lanka in the sports arena, where Samitha Dulan, Palitha Bandara, Janani Dhananjana and Kumudu Priyanka managed to bag 4 more medals for Sri Lanka at the Asian Para Games today.
Samitha Dulan won a silver medal in F64 javelin throw event. He recorded a length of 64.09 meters and it is a new record in this category. Meanwhile, Palitha Bandara won a bronze medal in F63 category putt shot event. He recorded a length of 14.15 meters. This is his best performance in his sporting career. Sri Lanka bagged both silver and bronze medals in the T47 category women's long jump event. Janani Dhananjana won the silver medal with a talent of 4.89 meters, while Kumudu Priyanka bagged the bronze medal of the same event with a record of 4.76 meters. Sri Lanka has won 2 gold medals, 2 silver medals and 2 bronze medals so far in these games.
The technical committee has given approval to call Angelo Matthews to Sri Lanka cricket team for the next matches of the World Cup cricket tournament. Accordingly, there is a high possibility of Matthews playing against England in tomorrow's encounter.
Angelo Matthews has been called to the team in lieu of the injured fast bowler Matisha Patirana. Sri Lanka Cricket Management has sought permission from the technical committee to add Angelo Matthews to the team. Sri Lanka Cricket yesterday announced that the technical committee approved the request. Meanwhile, Mahesh Deekshana, who was injured during the match with the Netherlands, may play tomorrow's game. The match between Sri Lanka and England is scheduled to be started at 2 p.m. in Bangalore tomorrow.
That's all the stories for tonight. Do join us tomorrow for more of the very latest. Until then, good night.
Good night.